Hanks against the switch on to Hauser, blocked by Horford.
Giannis and Dame working together. We'll take the triple try, count it! 4-point play coming for Damian Lillard.
A little bit of a hole.
Touch pass. Oh, Brunson. Whoa, Brunson! Are you kidding? Jalen Brunson!
6 different teams to win the title in the last 6 years.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the upcoming NBA season with a detailed breakdown of the Eastern Conference. It's going to be an exciting year and there's one big storyline that stands out. Every team is once again chasing the Boston Celtics, but this time the race is a lot closer than it was last season. Let's break down where each team stands, how they're shaping up, and what we can expect heading into the 2025 playoffs. We have to start with the Boston Celtics. Last season, they were simply unstoppable. They finished with an incredible 64 wins, led the Eastern Conference by 14 games, and only dropped 3 games throughout their entire playoff run. They raised banner number 18, and it felt like no one came close to catching them. But this season, while the Celtics are still clear-cut favorites, things might not be so easy this time. Kristaps Porzingis, a key piece they picked up, is expected to be out until around Christmas time. This means they'll be leaning heavily on Al Horford to hold things down in the paint, and while the team has depth to manage, it's likely going to slow them down a little bit early in the campaign. Still, don't bet against Boston to repeat as champions. They're the only team in the East that has all the answers, and despite some injuries, they're the team to beat when it comes to making another finals run. They might not finish as a number 1 seed in the regular season, but when the playoffs roll around, expect the Celtics to be in full gear. Now, let's talk about the New York Knicks. This is a team that has made some serious moves, and I think they're going to challenge Boston at the very top of the standings. The Knicks have added Karl-Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges to their lineup, and under Tom Thibodeau's leadership, you know this team is going to be playing extremely hard night in and night out. The Knicks are built for the regular season. Thibodeau is known for pushing his players to give absolutely everything in every game, meaning that they're going to have a favorable position in the East. And with a deep, talented roster, New York could very well finish the season as the top seed in the East. But come playoff time, I have some concerns, especially against the Celtics. The Knicks are going to need to stay healthy and they'll rely on their depth to get them through the grind of a long postseason, something that Tibbs isn't known for. In my prediction, the Knicks will secure the number 1 seed, but I still have the Celtics coming out on top in the East when it's all said and done. New York has some health and depth questions that could haunt them when it matters most. Philadelphia comes in next. They have the talent to compete for the top spot, but they're already dealing with injuries to key players like Joel Embiid and Paul George. And when you start the season with injuries, it's always tough to build momentum. If Philly can stay healthy, they're a serious contender. They have all the tools and all the talent. We know what Embiid can do when he's fully fit, and with Paul George alongside him, they have the firepower to compete with anyone. But that's a big if. Health will be the deciding factor for the 76ers, and if they can't keep their stars on the floor, they could easily fall out of the top 3. For now, I'm placing them 3rd in the East behind the Celtics and the Knicks. Next up, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee could be a top 3 team in the East, and some people might even see them as contenders to win it all, but I have some questions that make me hesitant to put them in that top tier. First off, there's no question about Giannis Antetokounmpo's greatness. If he can stay healthy, Milwaukee will always be in the mix. But there are concerns about Damian Lillard. Is age starting to catch up with him? Chris Middleton has had both ankles operated on this offseason, and Brook Lopez is 36 years old. These are all big question marks. Plus, is there enough depth behind their core? When the Bucks are clicking, they're dangerous, but there are just too many variables right now for me to consider them a true title contender. I've got Milwaukee in the fringe contender category. They could make a deep playoff run, but there's a lot that has to go right for them to do so. Now, let's look at some teams that are hoping to make the playoffs, but are not quite at that contender level yet. The Orlando Magic, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Indiana Pacers are all teams on the rise, and one of them is going to make a big leap this season. For Orlando, the question is whether Paolo Banchero can take on the primary playmaker role without a traditional point guard. Cleveland needs Evan Mobley to develop into an offensive threat to complement their already strong defense and help out Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell on the offensive end. And Indiana, they've added Pascal Siakam, but can they be good enough defensively to make a push into the top 4? One of these 3 teams will break through and challenge the established contenders. My pick? Orlando looks poised to take a step forward this year. Banchero is a budding star, and they have the pieces to make some noise in the East, especially after acquiring Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. In the next tier, we have teams like the Toronto Raptors, Atlanta Hawks, Chicago Bulls, and the Miami Heat, all teams that are hoping to sneak into the playoffs through the play-in tournament. I'm higher on Toronto than most people. They have a young star in Scotty Barnes, and if he can take the next step, they could surprise a lot of people. As for the Hawks, it's Trae Young's show now that DeJounte Murray is gone, but will Atlanta commit to him with a max extension after this season? Then there's Chicago. They've been looking for trades for Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, but if they get off to a good start with Josh Giddey running the offense, could they decide to keep things intact and chase a play-in spot? It's a storyline that we should definitely watch. Lastly, in this tier, we have the Heat, who will still be competitive with Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler leading the way, but it's clear they don't have enough to realistically contend. Finally, we have teams that are likely heading for the lottery: Detroit, Charlotte, Brooklyn, and Washington. Of these teams, Detroit and Charlotte have the best chance to break out of this tier and make a run at the play-in. For Detroit, it all depends on Cade Cunningham and the development of their young core. Charlotte's hope rests on LaMelo Ball's health and the continued growth of Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges. Brooklyn and Washington, on the other hand, look like they'll be in rebuild mode all season, positioning themselves for a high draft pick. So that's a look at how the Eastern Conference is shaping up for the 2025 NBA season. There's a lot to look forward to, and the race to the top is going to be closer than ever. Can anyone actually catch Boston? Will New York's big moves pay off? And which of the rising teams will make the leap into genuine contention? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more upcoming videos and NBA content. My name is Damian Peters. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.